My name is Dean Smith. I'm a genuine divorcee. After I started working, I met Rachel at a dinner party, which was actually a mixer. She is my ex-wife. She stood out as the most radiant woman there. The other guys were also surprised, saying,
"Who's that beautiful lady?"
I ended up sitting next to Rachel, and she talked to me.
Do you like beer? I do.
Being told that with an upward glance, simple me fell for her at first sight. From then on, I started pursuing her aggressively. All that effort paid off, and I managed to start dating her, and miraculously, we got married. When I introduced her to my relatives, everyone was shocked.
Hey Dean, can't believe you got such a beautiful girlfriend.
Every time we went to greet someone, I got comments like that and was over the moon. I believed that I could build a happy family with Rachel forever. However, life isn't that simple, as I would find out later. A few months into our marriage, we started arguing over trivial things more frequently. Especially, our hobbies were the biggest difference.
Rachel, how about we go camping in the mountains next holiday? Eating outside with fresh air would be perfect.
I love nature, like the sea and mountains, and am a true outdoorsman. So, my longtime dream was to travel far with my family. However, she made a sour face and said,
Let me see. But won't there be bugs at camping? And I don't really know how to set up a camp. Plus, the summer sun is too harsh.
She then laid down on the sofa, reading manga. She was the epitome of an indoor person, hardly ever going outside except for work or shopping.
Hey! The manga I'm reading is getting a live-action movie. Let's go watch it at the cinema.
A movie? I'm not really interested.
Oh, I see. Then, fine. I won't ask you again.
Okay, gotcha. That's why I can't stand women who don't exercise.
What? That has nothing to do with this.
Thus, our conversations often ended up in a hostile atmosphere. Because of such daily occurrences, the stress kept building up for both of us. We got married in a whirlwind romance after dating for only half a year, but I started regretting not understanding each other better before proposing. Probably, she was thinking something similar. Once we both started thinking that way, it was the end. As the frequency of our arguments gradually increased.
We can't go on like this. Let's get a divorce.
Rachel said, and I replied.
Yeah. Maybe that's better for both of us.
It was a tit-for-tat situation and led us directly to divorce. Later, when we calmly discussed the official divorce, both of us were firm in our decision to split. It seemed like ending our marriage was indeed the best choice. We divorced smoothly, without much conflict. Since our marriage lasted only about a year and a half, I wasn't particularly sad and continued to live my life peacefully. Then, one day, at work, my colleague Paul tapped me on the shoulder.
Hey Dean, are you free on the upcoming holiday? I'm organizing a barbecue with some friends. You're off, right?
Friends?
Yeah, my college club members. Seems like everyone's bringing acquaintances from their jobs and such.
Then, leaning closer, my colleague whispered.
There will be lots of girls. You might find a nice match, you know? It's been 3 years since you split with your ex. Time to move on to a new love.
Prompting me to grab him by the neck.
Idiot. I've got no lingering feelings for my ex. And I'm fine without a girlfriend for now. But I do love barbecues, so I'll come.
He was choked and tapped out, saying,
Alright, got it.
It had been a while since I had that much fun. I was as excited as a kid for the barbecue day. Then, the day of the barbecue arrived. The group was made up of 10 men and women, all around the same age, which probably helped us all get along so well as we grilled the meat. Among us was a cheerful woman named Ashley, who was particularly forward in her approach to me.
Hi, Dean. You seem to have quite the muscles. Do you hit the gym often?
Oh, yeah, about 4 times a week. Well, my job does require some physical strength.
Wow, you're like the ultimate manly man. So cool.
She was bold, touching me occasionally and keeping close. From a distance, Paul signaled with his eyes.
Go for it. Ask her out.
But I just shrugged. Sure, Ashley was attractive, but I wasn't in the mood for dating or anything of the sort.
Well, I'm gonna grab a drink from the car.
Oh, I'll come with you.
She followed me like a child. While I was walking to the parking lot with sighing, I caught a glimpse of a woman's shadow close to the car.
Oh my goodness.
It was Rachel there. She noticed me and widened her eyes.
Hi, it's been a while. Wait, you came to the barbecue?
Oh, yeah. A coworker invited me. Just got a bit interested.
You did?
Don't be so surprised.
She puffed her cheeks, looking somewhat sulky.
Since you used to invite me all the time back then. I just whimsically went once and got hooked.
She played with her hair, seemingly embarrassed. That gesture was so familiar, it made me smile unwittingly.
Come to think of it, I watched that movie based on the manga you used to read a long time ago.
Really? You went to the cinema?
Yeah, it's kind of my new thing. They're doing a sequel, right?
Rachel and I got talking about the movie. It was surprisingly enjoyable, unlike anything we had experienced before our marriage. Perhaps both of us had gone through some changes after our divorce.
Can I go back now?
I had completely forgotten about Ashley, so I apologized and parted ways with Rachel.
That beautiful woman, who is she to you? Could it be your acquaintance or ex-girlfriend?
No, my ex-wife.
She looked shocked when I said that.
Really? Why don't you try getting back together?
That's sudden.
You know, you two seem to be having fun.
I could tell her enthusiasm had waned. After that, at the barbecue, she stopped making bold moves towards me. I felt somewhat guilty, but Rachel's presence lingered in my mind. As I grilled the charcoal with a gas burner, I felt my emotions were just like these charcoals. It felt like reigniting a flame, perhaps the beginning of something new with Rachel. Although life went on as usual for a while, one day, I bumped into Rachel again in downtown. I was heading to a movie alone, and incredibly, she was there for the same movie by herself. Surprised by the coincidence, we ended up watching the movie together. Sitting side by side, I felt oddly restless, or even impatient. Thankfully, watching a movie doesn't require conversation, but it was strangely exciting, and I couldn't concentrate on the story at all. After the movie, we went to a cafe for some coffee, and talking with her felt fresh and really enjoyable. Despite thinking I'm too soft, I couldn't bear the thought of saying goodbye just yet, so I asked her if we could meet again. I probably turned bright red. Rachel laughed at me and said,
Sure, once in a while.
After that, I suggested doing things she would have definitely refused before, like fishing in the river, and although I had no interest, I even went to a cat cafe because she invited me. It was a huge step forward from the me during our marriage. We were like an odd couple, but we began to enjoy sharing our different values, and more than anything, I felt happiest when I was with Rachel.
It's funny. We laugh more together now than we did before.
When I said that, Rachel laughed and agreed.
After our divorce, I kept complaining to my friends about you, but one of them told me I've always been too selfish, and got mad at me instead. That made me want to reflect on myself and become a better lady, one who's experienced more.
A better lady, you said?
What? You're saying I'm not?
No, I think you are.
Her face turned red at my unexpected compliment. She made me feel embarrassed for saying it. Then, we became a couple again, and the relationship continued for 2 years. One day, Rachel told me she was pregnant, and I nearly spit out my water.
Seriously.
Yes. What should we do? It's been 2 months.
We were silent for a while, but my mind was already made up. Actually, I had planned to tell her sooner or later.
How about we give it another go?
I held her shoulder and looked straight into her eyes as I spoke. At first, she seemed confused. But eventually, she blushed and said, looking down.
Yes.
Despite some back and forth, Rachel and I decided to remarry. Then, she informed her parents about her pregnancy. And now, I'm driving to her parents' house to tell them face to face. As I turned pale with nervousness, thinking they'd say,
"What have you done now?"
Rachel laughed at my expression next to me. We are getting back together after a divorce, and now facing a shotgun wedding situation. Telling her parents the whole truth is incredibly awkward. When we arrived at her parents' house and Rachel said, furrowing her brow,
Look at that, someone's there.
Then, a man walking towards us caught sight of her. And he opened his eyes widely and said,
"Finally, I finally found you. Please let me."
He approached Rachel. She screamed in fear. My instincts as a man kicked in, and I stepped between Rachel and the man, yelling with all my might and taking him down with a straight punch. Then I held his back. I'm actually a police officer. I never skipped my workouts, training daily to fight criminals. I even participated in a national college tournament, though I lost in the first round, and have been recognized in police jiu-jitsu tournaments. Subduing a frail man was a piece of cake.
Rachel. Call the police.
I said, choking the struggling man.
Wait, Dean. Could it be Morgan? It's Morgan, right?
Do you know him?
The man named Morgan nodded repeatedly, tapping my arm in pain.
Sorry. I didn't mean to throw you down and choke you.
I apologized profusely. Morgan said.
"No, it's my fault for suddenly showing up."
Hearing Rachel scream and him saying, please let me, I mistook him for a stalker. But after listening more, it seemed he wanted to say, thank you. For something. Did I completely misunderstand that? I felt like I wanted to crawl under the rug.
What's the relationship between you guys?
When I asked them, Rachel answered.
He's a childhood friend of mine. But actually, it's been a while, right? You were in England or somewhere, weren't you?
Rachel asked Morgan and he nodded, saying,
Yo, I came today because I've wanted to say thank you for something I never got the chance to since that time.
To me? For what?
It seemed Rachel had no clue, but he continued without hesitation.
It's an old story, but remember when my house caught fire during my first year working?
I inadvertently cut in with a
fire.
Yes. At that time, my grandmother, who had trouble walking, was inside and couldn't get out in time. Rachel was nearby and saved her.
Is that true, Rachel?
Yeah. Well, I just happened to be near Morgan's house, so I could rush over immediately.
Man, everyone said Rachel was incredible at that time. She carried Grandma out princess style, like some kind of hero.
Wow. That's amazing.
Maybe it was just adrenaline strength.
What are you talking about? Rachel, you were in the wrestling club, right? I never beat you in arm wrestling.
Really? I've never heard of that.
Embarrassed, Rachel playfully smacked Morgan, saying,
Don't bring that up.
It turned out she was originally quite the athlete. However, she tried to hide her rough past while polishing her feminine side after entering college.
Anyway, I learned about the fire while I was in England, and since Rachel had moved to New York, I never got the chance to thank her. Then I asked her mom when she would be back, and she said today, so I came over.
Morgan explained. Hearing the whole story from Morgan made me feel really sorry.
Rachel, you're amazing. I'm proud of you for doing something like that, and yet I called you a woman who can't exercise.
I felt ashamed of my words and actions and apologized again. Rachel smiled.
It's okay. I never really talked about myself either. Back then, I couldn't accept your kindness. Let's try to understand each other more from now on.
You guys are really sweet.
Morgan teased, raising an eyebrow, which got him another light smack from Rachel, and the three of us laughed. After that, we apologized to our relatives for the trouble and announced our remarriage, but everyone blessed us, saying,
It's great you two got back together.
Then, the baby in Rachel's belly was safely born, a healthy boy we named Joe. We hoped he would always move forward, no matter the difficulties. Seeing their grandson, Rachel's parents cried tears of joy, exclaiming,
Our first grandchild. So sweet.
Later, we bought the house with a yard we had always dreamed of. Today is the barbecue party to celebrate.
All right, let's grill some meat. Leave the preparations to me.
Rachel said, rolling up her sleeves to start the charcoal. She had become quite the barbecue expert. Despite everything that's happened, I feel truly happy to be with my family under the blue sky,